You know, I hear people talk about Jesus all the time, right? I hear people praise Jesus. I've heard people talk about Jesus my whole life. But something that I've hardly ever heard mentioned are like the details of his life and who he was, right? Something that I've come to understand about Jesus and my understanding of Jesus, who he was as a person and exactly who he is to me and to the world. Jesus is a role model, right? He's a leader, a person of influence. And he didn't do this by trying to be these things. He simply just was. It was his way of being, how he moved through the world, how he treated people, how he interacted with people, how he lived his life. But something that I've hardly ever heard mentioned is how something he often did was go into isolation, right? He would go into spaces where it was just him and God. And in these moments, this is when he would speak to God. And he could hear God very clearly. And it's actually funny because this is a common theme throughout the Bible. Every great person who's mentioned in the Bible had these moments where they were in isolation. These moments of isolation are meant to be periods where you connect with God, where you hear God's word, where you are undistracted. No distractions. I think this is one of the greatest examples of who Jesus was, right? He wasn't somebody who needed a crowd. He wasn't somebody who needed validation from anybody. His time that he spent alone, his validation came from God. His words that he spoke came from God. His actions were given to him or directed to him or instructed to him by God. And he listened. You know what I'm saying? He listened. He listened to what God was telling him. And by listening to what God was telling him, of course, there was opposition. I've experienced this in my own life. This is why I really, really resonate with Jesus and I really connect with his story. He often had people who were ostracize him or lie to him or lie about him, and basically just people who would slander his name. And there were things that were untrue. They were just perceptions. But because there were so many of them, because there were so many of these perceptions that perceived him wrong, they ended up crucifying him. You know what I mean? But anyways, I say all that to say, man, throughout your day, find you some time to be with just you and God. I promise you, if you want to know how to change your life, that's where you start. You really go and you connect with God. Hear what he got to say.